Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to continue talking about Doctor Who classic seasons that have not been released yet in the collection range. And if I was designing the, box art for them and everything, kind of what would I do if I had the technical know-how to do all that? Now, season 11 is a pretty easy one. I know. Honestly, the route I would take, the route I hope Lee Binding takes, the route that makes the most sense to me, one of the more obvious ones is for season 11. I think you go Planet of the Spiders for the front cover. I think you go a dark blue, basically the blue that the crystal is blue. I think the Metabilis 3 crystal is what he's holding in his hands. It's the obvious choice. I think he's wearing his blue jacket that he wears in Planet of the Spiders. And I think everything's done in a very deep blue. Like, this is a deep purple. I think it's a very dark, deep blue. And I think the logo matches the rest of it with it being in blue, a lot like the season 9 one does. It's just, there's a lot of blue going on. For the background, instead of being abstract like a lot of these are, I think I just have the background be the Metabilis Caves where he faces down the Great One, because they are blue. The background would match really well. You could do something kind of like you do with the tunnel here for season 14, where it's actually something the Doctor's in at some point. I think the Metabilis Cave where he fights the Great One would be a great background. It would blend in with the rest of the box art. And I think Pertwee needs to have a very serious expression on his face, since he is, he's facing his greatest, I can't talk. He's facing his greatest fear. Like, he literally, that's why he goes, is because he had to face his fear. So I think he needs to have a serious look. Plus, the season 9 and 10 sets do have him with a bit of a smile on his face. So I do think it's time for him to have another serious look on his face like season 8 does. And again, he knows he might not survive this at all, much less just in that incarnation. So I think he needs a very serious look going into it. For villains on the front cover, you definitely need Lynx from the Time Warrior. He's, I think, my favorite Sontaran. Time Warrior is definitely my favorite Sontaran story, so I think Lynx is on it, and he's on it pretty up front, kind of like the Sontaran on season 22 is. I think he takes up a nice little portion of it there. I think you have the Great One at the top, like Kronos is here. Because the one at the top is usually facing mostly forward, and the Great One you would want to see from a straight-on view, because that's how you normally see her, up on the little pedestal or whatever it is, podium, whatever you want to call she's on. It's usually the shot we see her of, so I think it would be good to have her up here, like where the Master is here, or Omega is here. She should be like the top one, raining down. I think for Invasion of the Dinosaurs, you just have the T-Rex, kind of the T-Rex going like this, like it does in a couple iconic shots. I know the dinosaurs don't look the best in Invasion of the Dinosaurs, but I still would like to see that T-Rex on the cover. Of course, you got to have a Dalek for Death of the Daleks. I hope it's one of the like silver and black ones, because you don't see those as much. So got to have a Dalek on there. And the hardest one is picking for Monster of Peladons, because there's so many villains. You could have the statue of Agador. The statue, they're making it look like it's killing everybody, because that is a pretty creepy looking statue. So you could have the statue on the cover. That'd be cool. You could have a couple human villains you could put on there if you wanted. Like the guy who replaced Hepish, whatever his name is, you put him on there. But I think you need the Ice Warriors on there. I'd put the Ice Lord and an Ice Warrior, two of them. The Ice Lord and the Ice Warrior beside him. Since you didn't get an Ice Warrior on the season 9 one for Curse, you need an Ice Warrior on Monster, an Ice Warrior on Monster, especially since they are the villains of that story. So you got to have Ice Warriors on there, and that's how I would do the villains on it. For the back shot, I'd probably do Time Warrior, but the back shot for me would be the Sontaran ship going into the atmosphere, like you really see, which looks really good on the updated effects version of Time Warrior. I think I'd do a shot of that, because I can't really think of a good shot for the TARDIS this season. So I think I'd have the Sontaran ship coming through the atmosphere for Time Warrior for the back of it. On the flap, I picked Death of the Daleks. I like when they first land on the planet Death of the Daleks and it's dark out, and you could have them landing there. Dark background. You could have the Doctor standing there with a torch in his hand. And Sarah just coming out of the TARDIS, realizing they've landed at the wrong spot. I just like that iconic shot so much of the Doctor standing there with a torch in his hand in that episode when they first walk out. I'd love that to be the opening flap picture with the TARDIS on it. And then for the booklet, I picked Invasion of the Dinosaurs. You could have the little lines, the little red lines, right when they're about to displace something in time going on, with some action happening with, you know, like Sarah and either Sarah and somebody from unit, or the Doctor and somebody from unit, or Sarah and the Doctor there with the little lines going around. I think that would look pretty cool. Disc-wise, I think you could do this anywhere between 6 to 8 discs. You really only need 6 discs with 6 stories. I think each story only needs 1 disc. Unless something gets updated effects, then it would need a second disc. I don't think we'll get updated effects for this season. I don't. One, I think they're going to be putting money into restoring episode 1 of Dinos, which is the more important thing anyway, to get it looking as good as they can. 2, I think the only 2 stories to really attempt that on, because Time Warrior's already got updated effects, would be Invasion of the Dinosaurs or Planet of the Spiders. Both of those could use some updated effects. But I think both of them would need so much updated effects that I don't think the budget would stretch for it. Unless the updated effects just look CGI crap. Which, what's the point? You know, there's no reason to exchange practical crappy dinosaurs for CGI crappy dinosaurs. So unless you're going to be able to put the budget in it to make it look good, and I'm not saying 2023 Avengers Endgame like good, you know, or 2020 whenever it came out, Avengers Endgame good. I'm just saying it's got to look worth the money you're spending for it. I don't want to look at it and go, I could just watch this with the original effects, kind of like I do with Planet of the Daleks. And since I don't think they'll put the kind of money in there to do it justice for either of those stories, I don't think we'll get updated effects this season. So if for some reason one of those stories do, then I think it needs a second disc, a regular disc and a updated effects special edition disc. But other than that, I think each story only needs 1 disc, which leaves 6 discs. But they don't really do 6 discs very often. The only 2 sets I think that have had 6 discs have been the first one, season 12, and the 10th one, which was only the 4th box set. They usually try to pad them out a little further. So I expect season 11 to have 7 or 8 discs. That's what I'm expecting. I really don't know if you need 8 discs. I would, if I had to pick one, I'd say 7 discs, because like season 17 was only 7 discs. But I could see them doing 8 discs if they can find a way to pad it out. Each story, like I said, only needs 1 disc, and then you could do a bonus disc or 2, unless you're just, for some reason, you still do a second disc for a story. But I wouldn't see it being more than 7 discs unless something has updated effects. For the disc art on the first disc, I would just do probably the Doctor and Sarah. Usually the Doctor and the companions on the first disc, so that makes sense. The second disc, I'd probably have the T-Rex on there. Although you could have like Mike Yates and then somebody else from unit, the General or whatever he is right there with him. For that disc, that would make kind of sense. For Death of the Daleks, I'd just have a Dalek or a couple of Daleks. That'd be cool, especially if you can see their little projectile weapons in the picture. That'd be neat. Or if you wanted to be really funny, the disc art for Death to the Daleks could be the little model TARDIS right before it gets shot. That'd be funny. The fourth one's a little harder. You could put the Ice Warriors on the disc, or you could have the Queen on the disc. I wouldn't mind seeing the Queen on the disc. Maybe Sarah Jane and the Queen, or the Doctor and the Queen on the disc. That would be pretty cool. And for the final disc, there's several things you could do. You could do the Great One. You could do the Doctor, like that shot of him when he's slowly getting poisoned at the end, and you can see him over there just kind of, that'd be a good shot. The one I like, though, and would like to do is that famous picture of Sarah Jane when she has the spider on her back. She's kind of doing this, like, that's a cool picture. That's probably the one I would go for. And then, of course, if there's a bonus disc, you could just have a picture of the TARDIS on it. For one of the bonus discs, they could do more than one. And then the final image, of course, I would want to be behind all the discs to be an image, of course, of Pertwee, but it would need to be the season 11 intro instead of the image we're getting on the other box sets for their respective intro. So an updated picture of Pertwee from the season 11 intro. And yeah, I think that's about how I would do season 11. So I'd like to know what you think of this. Do you think the season 11 front cover should be blue, blue, blue with him holding the crystal in his Planet of the Spiders outfit? Do you think the cave backgrounds would make a good background? How would you do it? Comment down below and let me know how you would design this season if you were working on it. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button. That helps me out. The subscribe button, that certainly helps me out. I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in 2023, and we're almost there. Last time I looked, I was at 898, closing in on 900. Only 100 to go after that. Very excited. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me even more. There's a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, Finn Perkins, and Unknown289. I do appreciate their continued support, as I appreciate the support from all of my patrons. It really does make a difference, and I definitely appreciate it. I also have a P.O. box that is down in the description if there's anything you want to send me to look at and review. And a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. I update that regularly. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.